And so Senator Blackburn, if she can connect with us, is next up.
Yes, sir. I am connected, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much. And Judge Garland, I want to say thank you to you for your willingness to serve and for your career in public service. And I will tell you, as I've talked to Tennesseans about this, they care a lot about law, order, timeliness at the Justice Department. And after the Christmas Day bombing, you and I discussed this and the bombing that took place in Nashville. They really are interested in the principles and the convictions of our nation's top law enforcement official. And my hope is, and I think the expectation is, that you will assure the American people that you are going to apply the law fairly and equitably, because in this country, as we know, no one is above the law. Now, I know you've been asked about the Durham investigation, and I will tell you that this is important to Tennesseans, and making certain that that investigation is going to be completed and that you are going to work to be certain that it is not impeded and is completed, and that you're committed to seeing this through to completion.
Well, thank you, Senator. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the opportunity we had to discuss these matters earlier as well. As I said, with respect to the Durham investigation, I don't know anything about it other than what has appeared in the media. The investigation has been discreet as appropriate with respect to expressions of its status. I understand that Mr. Durham has been permitted to remain in his position, and I know of nothing that would give me any doubt that that was the correct decision.
And I appreciate that. And likewise, we had discussed the investigation into Hunter Biden's business dealings. And we want to make certain that you commit to allowing Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss to complete that investigation and bring that evidence forward.
And similarly with Mr. Durham, I don't know anything about that investigation other than what I've read in the media. And again, that investigation has been proceeding discreetly and not publicly, as all investigations should. I understand that the Delaware U.S. Attorney was permitted to stay on as U.S. Attorney, and I, again, have absolutely no reason to doubt that that was their correct decision.
And let's talk a little bit about China, because we discussed some of that for the record. And our last DNI had stated that China is our greatest threat. So I would like to hear from you. Do you agree that the Chinese Communist Party is an enemy of the American people?
Well, I don't have the same familiarity with the intelligence information that the director of national intelligence has. So in terms of comparing, say, the threat from China and the threat from Russia, I'm just not competent to make that. And that comparison, and I have learned in my professional career not to make judgments on which I am not competent. But I certainly, from what the director said, there's no doubt that China is a threat with respect to hacking of our computers, hacking of our infrastructure, theft of our intellectual property. All of these are very difficult problems, and we have to defend against.
Well, we do, and I know that Lindsey Graham asked you about Section 230 and some of the issues that are there. We all are very concerned about the issues that surround China, whether it is the Chinese Communist Party and the way they threaten our democracy and our economic leadership around the globe. And we're also concerned about the Chinese military links into our American universities through things like the Confucius Institutes. And for instance, recently there was a situation at Harvard with a cancer researcher, and he was caught trying to smuggle 21 vials of biological material out of the U.S. and get it to China. And I would hope that you agree that this threat puts American intellectual property and technology at risk. And I would hope that you would assure the American people that you're going to put the full force of the Department of Justice forward to investigate and to prosecute every one of these spies that are working on U.S. soil.
Well, Senator, I'm not familiar with that circumstance, so I can't comment on it specifically, but I can assure you that the Justice Department's National Security Division was created in part for the purpose of ferreting out espionage by foreign agents, and that is also the role of the FBI and the two working together. And if foreign agents are caught stealing American intellectual property, American trade secrets, American materials, that they will be prosecuted. Yes, of course.
Thank you. We're about a year into this pandemic, and technology has allowed for us to do work like we in the Senate are doing with WebEx. I think we've all found that it gives a lot of flexibility, but as we are spending more time online, we hear from people about holding big tech accountable. As I said, you've discussed Section 230 earlier, and we are hearing more about antitrust lawsuits. Of course, you all have the current suit against Google, and I will hope that you are going to allow that lawsuit to continue.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about a particular lawsuit, but I don't see, every matter I'd have to ask for a briefing on. But much of that lawsuit is public, and again, given what I've read, I don't see any reason why that investigation, the decision to institute that investigation would be changed. But I only know what I've read with respect to the descriptions of the public filings.
Let me ask you one more question, and then I'm going to have a series of questions to come to you as QFRs. President Biden has talked about reinstating the Obama administration practice of paying settlement money from winning lawsuits to third-party interest groups like La Raza, the National Community Reinvestment Coalition, and the Urban League. And it's just, I find it really interesting that they would choose to have that money go to these outside groups instead of to victims or to the U.S. Treasury. So do you plan on reinstating that policy, and how would you justify reinstating that policy?
I don't have any plan one way or the other. I know you raised that policy when we were talking before, and I understand your concern about it. Obviously, damages recoveries should first go to help victims. I don't know very much at all about the policy, and it would be something I would have to consider if I'm confirmed. I have to hear the arguments on both sides of why the policy obviously started and also why it was rescinded.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator Blackburn.